happening, everyone? It's Kyle from Magpie 24/7, and I hope you're all good. I can imagine you aren't, though, after the morning after what was probably the worst transfer window in the Mike Ashley era, in my opinion. Absolute disgrace. Newcastle have no intention of bringing anybody in. Rumours circulating that Steve Bruce had to try and organise transfers himself. Trying to get Hamza Chowdhury through the door, trying to get Kamara through the door, trying to get Diakabi through the door. These were the names linked, but as always in a Newcastle deadline day, it's always just words and never ever any action. And it's kind of different this time because it leaves with so short-handed. It's unreal. And I seen a couple of Twitter accounts yesterday sticking up for Steve Bruce almost, and I found it bizarre. I really find it bizarre because they're saying, "Oh well, the board have well and truly shafted Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce has been sold up the river. He's let Matty Longstaff go out to Aberdeen, and he was promised Hamza Chowdhury, and they didn't get him. So he's been sold up the river for this." And for me, that uh, for Steve Bruce, I have zero sympathy. And the reason I have zero sympathy is plain and simply because all transfer window we've been told by Steve Bruce, oh, we need the big clubs need to do their business, or before we can do a business. Oh, there's very little money. Oh, there's very little this. There's very little that. So he knew what he was getting himself into. And then when we signed Joe Willock, they've broke the transfer rules to get Joe Willock in. We should be honoured. We should be, as if to say, we should be kind of privileged and honoured that we've signed one player. And like, I'm happy with Joe Willock signed. Don't get us wrong. It was nice that we got him on a permanent, not on a loan deal. But it doesn't hide the fact that we needed a hell of a lot more than just Joe Willock. At the end of the day, in terms of our starting 11, we are no stronger than we were last season. And the thing is, it's not like it's not just we've been cheap, we've been incompetent as well because the amount of transfers on the cheap. I mean, I don't like going back to Rafa because he's now Everton manager, right? But he managed to pick up Solomon Rondon, a spare striker we needed, Andres Townsend, someone that could have been a good squad player for us, and Damari Gray, someone that would have been a first team player for us, instead of probably Fraser or Miggy, right? You got them for 4 million quid, the three of them. Like, you know what I mean? It's just being smart. Or even then, even that, get rid of Rafa and stuff. You had Loftus Cheek at Chelsea. You had Barkley at Chelsea. Um, Rob Holding was available. Like a lot of players from a lot of different teams were available on the cheap, and we didn't take advantage of this. Why didn't we take advantage of this? Like, if we're a team that's nitpicking and looking for little things here and there, why was not this not taken advantage of? Like, it comes to something, they won't pay for a loan fee. Like, this wasn't. It's not the first time it happened yesterday. I think it happened yesterday with Hamza Chowdhury, and not only that, it happened with Tuanzebe and people like this. Like, these are players that we could do with, and we're not investing. But do you blame Steve Bruce or do you go to the top? Do you blame Mike Ashley? For me, I blame all of them. I think all of them are as incompetent and as useless as each other, and I'm just sick of it because obviously the last video that we did, well, the last video that I did, because Paul did a man in a van, was a channel update saying that we're cutting back on the podcasts and stuff, and I don't want to do that. I really don't. I'm motivated to do podcasts, and people in the comments seem to be questioning that a little bit, but my motivation is to do as much content as I can. But I feel like personally, with the way the club's being run, I feel like I'm repeating myself every week, and it's just a dead state of affairs. And like, I went all flipping passionate on Twitter yesterday, um, saying that we need to do something. We need to do something. Something needs to happen now. We can't just stand and have what is going to be probably the most toxic season under Mike Ashley, because that's what it looks like now. It looks like it's going to be toxic. It looks like it's going to be nasty. It looks like it's going to be negative. And I don't think fans can sit here and accept it anymore, any longer. It's just not good enough. The club are just happy to exist, or hoping to drag along and exist while this takeover's in the background. We've had this for a year now, and it's well over a year. In fact, it's coming on to 2 years in January. It'll be, by the time arbitration comes along, it'll be 2 years since it first broke this takeover news, and it's hung over our head ever since. And the fans just want clarity, and we just want to move on, and we want our club back. And it's just like we're never gonna get it back under this fucking owner. He's useless. Like, we're not trying to make things happen, and like we're being told by his puppet, the one we should feel sorry for, and who's been shafted. Yeah, he's been shafted. Most backed manager under Mike Ashley by far. Feel so sorry for him, but yeah, it's like we're meant to be appreciative of 25 million. Yeah, my grievance is, right, all of the supposed big six, right, all of them tried to kill football 5 6 months ago with this ESL shit, right? And they all signed a document to leave the Premier League and to leave the other 14 clubs and the other however many clubs in lower league and all that, and all of English football. They decided to leave the English football pyramid and basically let English football die. That's what they wanted to do for money. That's what they wanted to do 4 or 5 months ago. And not only did the Premier League not punish them, but they've allowed these teams to spend 100 million each to improve their squads and stockpile the rest of the league. And I seen a Man United fan, obviously he's popular on YouTube and stuff, but I'm going to call it out straight away. Mark Goldbridge was saying, oh, what we've brought in isn't enough to compete for a title. And I'm like, you poor soul. What a poor soul. I feel so sorry for you, mate. You only brought in Ronaldo and Rafael Varane and Jadon Sancho. My heart bleeds for you, mate. Honestly, I feel so sorry for you if that's all you've brought in, and that's traumatic that you've had to suffer that. I really, really am sorry. But like, get a fucking grip. Honestly, like, seriously, get a fucking grip. Like, your next game is Newcastle at home, and like you're moaning about signings, mate. You need to get a grip. If you honestly think, if you think you've had a bad transfer window, mate, you need to look in the mirror. And take a hard look at yourself and realise what's going on in the rest of the league. Because for me, that's just an example. These six teams try to kill football in England 5 6 months ago. They were allowed to spend, and they weren't punished for what they did. And it and Newcastle have been punished by the Premier League by being left in limbo for another season under Steve Bruce, under Mike Ashley, who's clearly negligent and is not running a football club. And I don't know how the fuck he managed to pass a test to be worthy of a Premier League owner, to supposedly the way the training facilities are, the way the training ground is, the way the training ground is, the way the stadium is, the way the flipping team is, the way the manager is, the way the selections are in terms of staff, and he's worthy of running a Premier League football club, is he? Right, whatever. What a load of fucking shit. And like, we have a chance to compete with these teams financially, a chance, not just not, a big chance, because the Saudi Arabians have a lot of money that would put a lot of money not just into the football club but into the city. And I think for Newcastle fans, it's more getting Mike Ashley out of the club than it actually is getting the Saudi Arabians in. But we're being cost this by Newcastle. No, sorry, by the Premier League. The Premier League are holding our football club in ransom because we want to compete with these teams. That's why it's a closed shop. That's why Project Big Picture was a thing 2 years ago. It's why the European Super League was a big thing this year, because they think they're above everybody else. They think there's a bigger piece of the pie for them, deservedly, because they're a bigger club. It's how football works, but it's a fucking sport. And you kill the sport when you decide to make it a closed shop. And to be fair, that's what they've tried to do this summer by buying the best players that they possibly can. Chelsea bought Lukaku, Arsenal, despite them being bottom of the league, funny enough, spent more than anybody in Europe, albeit on Aaron Ramsdale and Ben White, but that's another video for another channel, I think. But like on the like on the side, Chelsea bought Lukaku and Liverpool. You know these have invested in players, and it's just depressing because like you see these clubs spending loads of money, and even then cut out the big six. Leeds spent 60 million. Aston Villa spent 80 million. You know, like these are clubs around us that we're supposed to be beating or being as good as, and we can't lay a glove on them. And then on the field, I'm just talking on about off the field. On the field, we're fucking useless. We're kind of we've conceded 8 goals against teams. We haven't played a good team yet. We're about to play a good team next after the international break, but we haven't played a good team yet, and we've conceded 8 goals and lost every game. No, we've lost. We lost all but barring one game. That was the Southampton, which was I don't know how we didn't get beat. Put it that way, but it's just a sorry state of affairs at Newcastle at the minute, and yeah, it's just trying to sum it up and as best I can because as a fan, honestly, I think uh, what I want to summarize and end the video on is we need to do something as a fan base, and I don't mean shout at a fucking shop, right, and embarrass ourselves. I mean we need to take action because it works. People that say protests don't work, look around. Those protests for the against the European Super League got stopped. Man United protested against the Glazers. They went on to have a really good transfer window. Now have a squad that might challenge for the title. Worked. You have Arsenal. They protested against Stan Kroenke. They spent more than anybody in Europe. You have Chelsea. They protested. They got what they wanted. Now they've got Lukaku. They won the Champions League, and they might challenge for more next season in terms of the league and stuff. So the bigger picture of things are recently protests work, and like in the last year it's been difficult with the COVID restrictions and stuff, but with them loosening up now, I really think we need something needs arranged. And like I'm one person. I can only speak for me, but in my time supporting Newcastle, it's never been such a low point, and I really think now action needs to be taken, and whether it's moving with our feet, whether it's whether it's protesting outside the ground, some of what Arsenal did, in a huge amount of number. But I'm only one man. I can only do so much. I can stand outside of a ground by myself. A little bit ridiculous, but we need a united voice. So if this video reaches anybody with a following, Magpie Group, the Newcastle United Supporters Trust, Tune for Change, any other I can't remember what they're called. But it's they went down to London. I can't remember the group, but I know a couple of people from social media that are in this. It's I think it's Call for Transparency or something like that. Any anti-Ashley group, we need to kind of look at it and see what we can do. But it's getting to a point where we need to stand up for our club because our club is being negligently just left to die in front of our eyes, basically. Because it's either we'll drag through another season and we'll hope we don't get relegated in the midst of all this takeover nonsense. Because you guarantee the Premier League will try and delay it again to get to the summer to see if we'll get relegated. That's exactly what they'll do because it'll be it's the Championship problem now. Ta-ra. And then we'll have it all again when they need to pass a Premier League owners and directors test next year. So, you know, they're looking to get rid of the problem by relegating Newcastle. And people think it's through the VAR decisions and stuff as well that we've got something against with. But, like, you know what I mean? We've got, as fans, I feel something needs to be done. And I've got the resources to be able to arrange anything. But anything someone with resources has got in mind, I'll definitely be a part of and I'll definitely back. That's all I can say. But it's just a dire state of affairs at Newcastle United at the minute and for the fans. because the club's being negligently treated. We've got a terrible manager who can't manage his team properly, and it's just another really long season, and this could be longer than the rest, for the reason of there's a lot more than just the bad football. But the bad football obviously is a massive factor of that, because we're not improving, despite the investment Steve Bruce has had over the 2 years he's been here. But that's me take on the transfer window. That's a take on what I think steps need to be taken. But yeah, let us know what you think. I mean, I know there's a lot of skepticism about a protest because they don't work, either that or past events like the Arsenal protest will tell you a lot can be said on social media, but a lot isn't backed up, so to speak. So just let us know what you think, and what would your idea be to start a protest or anything like that. Just let us know in the comments, and then yeah, why not? But it's international break, so in terms of Magpie 24/7, I'm not quite sure what's going on. Obviously, we're cutting back on the podcast, but the videos will still remain the same. And obviously push the videos, and I really appreciate the comments on the last video. There was a lot of people that were very passionate about the podcast and give their opinion. Me and Paul have took all of that into account, and we're looking at things, and we're weighing things up as we're going. We'll let you know what we'll think of that, because we'll address it more on the next podcast that we'll do. But I'll stop blabbering on, and I'll love yous and leave yous for now, and catch us on the next one, everyone. See you later. Ta-ra.